I am delighted to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I've been chipping away at an interesting problem for a long time and probability of assessments, and then realized I'd had a bit of a methodological breakthrough, which I thought I would share with you guys. But let me tell you kind of a story about where I started. When I learned to do decision analysis, the idea that of probability Bayesian analysis was that it was a subjective assessment, and there was this tool called the probability wheel. I still have one here that you would use it to adjust and get somebody to give you an opinion by comparing it to the wheel itself. So you can adjust the ratios here. And it gave a probability, which of course is what I needed for my decision tree. So as a young analyst, I was very excited to go out and get probabilities. And I had my first project, and I sat down with this guy, and I'm like, we need to talk about the probability of this. He's like, great. And I pull out the wheel, and he just starts laughing. And then he looks at me because I'm a little taken aback. He says, you can't be serious. And it was quite a startling moment. And I realized that this probability wheel was, of course, a very important foundational tool, and conceptually it's quite important. But in fact, it was a tool I was using to make my life easy, not his life easy. And I realized that one of the duties of a good decision professional is to like translate into the world of the client, the people we really serve, instead of pushing our stuff onto them. How do we really make the world work for them? And I call this kind of building bridges, right? So I've spent a career building bridges. How do you meet subject matters and experts and decision makers where they really are in their terms, and in a way that really adds value in a way they see it, not in a way that we see it? And I think that bridges that connect can be very powerful. SmartArc has done a lot of work in this area. We built a platform to take sort of repeated problems and build bridges so that you can go from a decision professional being kind of great in a coffee house kind of thing, and maybe you focus on your guitar and your beautiful guitar expertise. It's all good. It's all wonderful. We sort of focus on the amplifier. What changes that to a concert experience from the point of view of the decision maker? So that's kind of our mission here at SmartArc, and we do software and consulting around these kinds of things, again, mostly in portfolio and innovation management. So let me describe the bridge here. I'm going to sort of unpack this whole thing, but this is a bridge to probability of success. It's called the maturity matrix, and it measures the quality of evidence or the maturity of evidence in support of a decision. It's usually a go or no go. Wouldn't have to be, but think of it in the context of a go no go kind of decision. Now, on one hand, the thing in the upper left, it shows you a sort of social structure for assessment conversations that are constructed in a standardized way that sort of drops into business processes in a way that they can really deal with it. And then from their point of view, almost by magic, out pops things like decision trees with phased probabilities and sources of risk and all kinds of wonderful things that are quite valuable for us and help us add the kind of insight we need. Because it also happens sort of instantaneously with 3 simple assessments, it's essentially self-serve. So you can do this on a project, get an interesting analytical insight. In most cases, that's good enough, but in some cases, people start to ask deeper questions, which increases the need for an actual decision professional to come and deal with stuff. So there's a way in which, if you do this bridge, you can get the routine stuff to happen quickly and put your time on the things where a human really engaging a problem adds a lot of value. I have also found in this work that there are 2 sort of organizational versions of a bias. That I call it the backbone bias and the progress bias. And when you look at probability of success, often our assessments overlook maybe half of the sources of risk, something like that. So I have evidence on that as well that came out of doing this kind of work. All right, so let me talk about the structure of the presentation today. It's about building a bridge. I'm going to start over here anchored in the client's world on the left. What is probability of success? Why does anybody care? And what